Yes,
Now,
it's working finally.
yes.
Okay, for those maybe joining from Darshana's profile. Okay, we are
Oh, my
Gogo
sister.
Outdoor.
Hi, Verka. That's my
Yeah, we are
sister.
Gogo Outdoor. Going to interview Darshana about her experiences in environmental science. Yes, yes, Darshana. Tell us about yourself, please.
Okay, I will just talk about, I don't know, what should I say? About my education or just about myself?
Yeah, I mean, your education. Yeah, we are really
So,
curious to know about this.
yes, so I get this question all the time, how to become an environmental scientist. I will just say what I have done. There are many ways to become an environmental scientist, but I'm just going to say the path that I chose. So I started off with the Bachelor of Science in Environmental Management in Monash University. At the same time, I was also
Mm,
doing a double degree. So I did
wow.
biotechnology as well as environmental management. But then in my third year, I very quickly knew that I was not interested in biotech and I just wanted to go into the forest and into the natural environment. And so in my third year, I got a scholarship to do this thing called an honors. So Monash University is an
Wow.
Australian university. So they follow a
Mm-hmm.
curriculum. So I went on to do my honors in biology, and and you have to like make it to, you have to get a distinction average in order to go into the system. So when I met
Ah,
my first degree, which was after 3 years,
wow.
environmental science,
Mhm.
I just dropped the biotech. So I have like
Oh,
4 years left to finish the second degree, but I was like, nah. So I went on and I did my honors in biology and that for 1 year. And then after that, I took 1.5 year off. I was just like, I was working in this cave. So it's called Dark Cave
mm.
in
Wow. Okay.
Bangalore.
Is
It's
it is
a
it is it local?
Yeah, it's a
Local.
conservation site. They are not there anymore, if I'm
Mm.
not mistaken. But
Oh,
it was a conservation site that was managed by Malaysian
wow.
Nature Society, but it's being run by
Wow.
the Dark Management Group. And so I was working under
Oh,
Dark. And so there's basically when you walk up the stairs in Batu Caves, right? If you notice
yes.
there is a stairs that leads to the
Dark.
left.
Yes, true. Yep.
Yes. So in that dark cave, we still have lots and lots and lots of different species, and we still have bats living there. So in the main Batu Caves cave, you don't find any bats or
Okay.
anything anymore because there's too much of light, too much pollution, too much of people,
Yeah.
noise, etc. But in the dark cave, it
True.
still very much reflects the old ancient cave system filled with fruit bats and insect bats. We have these really
Ah,
ancient spider species. So it's called,
okay.
I remember right, it's called Liptioensis batuensis. No, I can't remember the scientific name now. I used to remember all of it. But basically, it's this spider that is older than
Mm.
dinosaurs. And they don't live
Wow.
webs. So they don't build webs. They build, um, they live in, how do I explain this? Basically, they are trapdoor spiders. So they live in
Oh,
some kind of
okay.
space, and then they have
Mm-mm.
a little bit of web strings coming out, and every time an
Wow.
insect works on the string, so they can feel the vibration, then they come out from the room and eat them, and then goes back in. So they don't live on
How
web.
poison
Hmm?
how poisonous it is. How
They're not
poisonous it
poisonous. They're
is.
really tiny, and they're only found in their endemic species only to
That's
Selangor limestone
interesting.
hill. So they're not
Wow,
found
that's
anywhere
interesting.
else. Yeah, so they are really ancient species that has been thriving there for the longest time. And yeah, basically I did that. I worked there for a while, and then I was teaching in Monash University. I was teaching some of the first year and second year students. And then I went on to do my
Mm-mm.
PhD also in Monash, Malaysia. And my
Wow.
PhD project was looking at land use change and management impacts in
Mm.
oil palm plantations on stream ecosystems. So I'm just gonna keep
Wow.
that title there. I'm not gonna go deeper into that. But so that is my education background, and that is what I have done.
Wow, this is so interesting. There are many new terms I'm hearing tonight. Yes, before we go further into this, please, can you please tell us a brief something description about this environmental science, ecology, forestry, and there are many terms. Are you okay?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, this is also why I started with saying that there are many ways to become an environmental scientist. So my
Mm-hmm.
expertise has been based in aquatic ecosystems. So aquatic ecosystems can be, it's any kind of water body. So mainly I've been
Wow.
studying fresh water. So that is rivers,
Mm-hmm.
streams. So streams are anak sungai. So a lot of people don't know what streams are, but basically river systems and river ecology. But you can also be an environmental scientist studying wildlife. You can study bacteria even. You can study in a cave. You can study in marine ecosystems. You can study anywhere. There are so many different ways to become a scientist. You don't have to be only the kind of person who goes into the forest, you can, or hikes or anything. You can even be in the lab and still be an environmental scientist. So there are lots of different ways. But what ecology means, I mean, ecology just means the study of the ecosystem, like how everything around us, how the living thing and not living things and non-living things interact with each other to form this balanced ecosystem. And that
Mm-hmm.
is that is ecology. Forestry, I'm not sure what they usually study, but usually forestry would be on forest management. So sometimes there are forestry people who are working in plantations, and what they do is they look at the tree productivity. So they try to see, okay, how much is this tree growing? How much of nitrogen I need to put in the soil in order for this tree to grow properly to increase the yield for a plantation. Or they can also work in forests, in the forest, or I mean, there's so many things to do, just identifying the species. There's so many things to do. There's so many aspects to this. But I mean, ecology and forestry, that's the difference.
Yes, I believe this is totally a wider scope, and just one night wouldn't be enough to finish
Yes.
talking about this, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yes, very interesting, to be honest. Okay, so before you start your career as environmental scientist, back then in primary and secondary school, how was your involvement in environmental related activities as a student?
Well, to be honest, and as most of you would know, because you come from the same education system, which is,
Hmm.
sekolah menengah and sekolah kebangsaan, there is very little, there's very little
Exposure.
information. Yeah, very little information exposure about our environment, or there's very little activities. No one really, I mean, besides picking up garbage, which is what we all do, most of them don't have any kind of activity that focuses on any environment. So growing up, I was always interested. Like every time I see an animal dying, or anytime I
Hmm.
see, I was always affected by it, but I did not know what to do. I was a kid growing up in whatever that was only available to me, and none of this was available to me, right? My parents didn't grow up raising us to go hiking or bringing me into the forest or anything. But the one thing that my mother did do is she has a garden in my house all the time, and our garden is always thriving. Like it's just every time she plants a flower or whatever, it's always like it always grows so beautifully. And she'll always tell
Wow.
me that and it has also been scientifically proven that when you talk to the plants, it grows better. And that's what she would do. She would just wake up, go to her garden, tend to the garden, and every weekend she would do this, and she taught me that. So I remembered that information, and I remember how I felt about animals and everything. And when I grew up, I just knew that this was the path I had to take. So I didn't do anything much when I was in primary or secondary school. It was only once I grew older and I could make my own decisions. That was when, and I had a car, so I was given, so luckily my parents are really nice. Hi, baby. My boyfriend is home. So yeah, so I had a car, and when I had a car, I realized, okay, now is the time I can do anything I want. That's my sister saying yes, she loves driving.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah. But anyways, so yeah, I mean, only then only I started doing everything that I wanted to do, and that included hikings and all of those kind of stuff.
That's very impressive. Wow.
Okay.
Okay. So I must say it started since you are a child, yeah, from a kid as well. So how did you grow up? So I can say from your past experience, from your mother's gardening experience, you grow this interest in environment. So is there like any turning point that made you know I must do this environment thing? I must focus on this environment when I grow up. Is there any like turning point or strong past experience you faced when you were a child or
No, there was nothing much like that. I mean, I have always been, the thing is, I always danced to the beat of my own drum. I always did
mm,
whatever I wanted to do. So as a child, I got into a lot of trouble with my parents. Although my grades were always good, but every damn time I get into trouble because I would just simply not listen to them. I would just do whatever I wanted to do. It was whatever I felt was right for me. Okay. So
mm,
turning point, but I also knew that I wanted to do so it's not like so what I'm trying to say by that is that I don't follow what other people have done. I don't follow what other people are doing. I just try to do what it is that I want to do. Okay. So
okay,
yeah. So then when I grew older, and but I knew what I wanted to also do was I wanted to do something that was going to contribute to the world. I didn't want to just
good
be
one.
someone who grows up and gets a degree, gets a job, gets a car, gets a house, or get married and get children. And this, I mean, that's someone's life, and that's totally fine if anyone wants to do that. But it wasn't a life for me. I knew I wanted to travel the world, and I knew not just travel, I wanted to explore and learn. I didn't want to just go and see something, but I wanted to learn something. So if you ask my boyfriend, he will totally know how I Google every damn thing. So even when I'm watching a movie, I like Google it because I want to learn, I want to know what it is that is happened, what is the truth. Like I just love learning basically. So I knew I
Mm,
had a purpose, which was that I wanted to contribute further, not than just myself and my immediate family. And then I knew that I loved learning. And then when I grew older, this option to do environmental science, it wasn't, I mean, I did not know such a degree even existed because as a child, you only hear like doctor, which both my elder sisters are doctors. My younger brother
wow.
is an engineer. So it's like a typical, people be an engineer, lawyer, doctor, accountant, But I did not want to do that. I did not want to sit in the office. I did not want to do anything like that. So when I found out about this environmental science degree offered by Monash University, which is a good university, I knew that it
True,
fit
true.
into the whole purpose, and I knew that I was already interested because I love being outdoors. I wasn't one to stay indoors. I was always, I used to, as a kid, I would take the bike. I'm not suggesting that anyone should follow this, okay? I did it, doesn't mean someone should do it. But I used to take the bike and go around in all the backyards of my neighbors, and I would cycle, and I would, just so I can explore and see the mosses growing, see the grass, see, I
Wow.
mean, I don't know, I would just do it. And then when I grew older and this option was in front of me, I was like, it's perfect. It fits into everything that I loved. And then when I went into it and I started learning more, I was like, this is definitely, I'm destined for this. Like, this is what I love, and this is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. So there was no specific turning point. It just happened, and it just fit into the purpose that I want to have in my life. Yes.
I'm
Sorry.
little curious. Yeah. Are you a mind follower or heart follower?
Definitely a mind follower. I don't follow, I mean, I see that's the thing, right? I like nature, I like the environment, but I also knew I had to do something where it would be sustainable for me. Do you
Hmm.
understand?
Got it. Yeah.
It
Yes.
had to be something that would be good for me. So I always follow my mind, and I always try to think rationally. I try to plan. So that is why I'm also where I am now. I don't just, if I were to just follow my heart, the moment I finished my degree, I would have been like, screw this, I'm going to just work in this field or this forest and I'm not going to do anything else. But I couldn't do that. I needed to contribute further. I needed to do something more. I had to also think about how I was going to take those steps to achieve my dream. So I don't follow my heart. I definitely follow my mind most of the time. But
Well,
I do what I want. I try to achieve what I think about what I want, and then I find ways to reach there. I don't, so I guess it's a combination. It starts off with what you want in your heart, but that's only the first step. Every other step that I take after that is based on my mind. So I follow my mind, not just my heart, I guess.
such a strong grade you are. Very, very interesting to learn this from you.
I don't know. Sometimes I
Yeah.
would definitely say I did not realize that. I mean, I knew that I thought differently from people growing up. The people like my friends and everything, and I loved them so much, but they didn't think the same way that I did. But I actually didn't really think that I was that different until I got my
Mm.
Instagram and I started getting followers, and my followers would like they're really, really extremely sweet. They would always send me messages telling me, they love my mindset, they love I'm so inspiring, and I don't
Inspired.
even realize how am I, because I feel like I'm just living my life. I'm not even doing anything. I'm just doing whatever it is that I want, and it just, I don't know, it's just nice to know that people find it inspiring. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just do things.
To be honest, you are inspiring people from your profile. And from
Yeah.
this live session, there'll be many followers who knows. Yeah, definitely. Your session is very inspiring so far. Yeah,
Thank you.
yes, as you what mentioned just now, yes, we are a part of, we are from this part of typical family and mindset where they follow this delta concept, doctor, engineer, lawyer, and then what else, teacher, accounts, and architect. They hold this delta concept and then they push it to their children. Yeah. So when you first propose your education, your tertiary education, how did you find your response? I mean, how did you find the family response? How did
Okay.
your parents react?
Now, I mean, before I say anything about how my parents react, I
Mm-hmm.
would like to say that I totally understand why our parents would do that. Because, okay, if I just want to talk about the Indian community, right? Okay, this is going to be a long session. I have a feeling because I'm like giving 10 years answers for one thing. But basically, like, okay, so when you think about how our parents think, they came here, their parents or their grandparents were most likely immigrants who had very
Mm-hmm.
little or almost nothing to their name. So like my parents, both of my parents, they came from a really poor family and they had to make their way. They had education maybe up to diploma level, but they had to make their way. They had to learn, start from being a clerk and then slowly grow up and grow up and grow up and grow up and then end up being a manager or whatever it is that they became. So for them, security is more important than following your passion and following your heart. And like occupations such as being a doctor, engineer, accountant, lawyers, those kinds of occupations are secure for them. So I understand their point of view every time they try to tell you that that is what you should do. They are not doing it because they want you to just be a doctor. I mean, there are some people who want that, but it's more because of the security that comes with those kinds of occupations. Now, I would say my parents definitely had the same kind of mindset, but both my sisters chose to be doctors. So the thing is, they always gave us the option. They told us what they wanted us to do, but they gave the option to choose to us. So both my sisters wanted to become doctors, and so they supported it and they let them be. My brother wanted to become an engineer, they supported it and they let them be. When he came to me and my father asked me what did I want to do, I said I want to do environmental science. I don't want to do anything else. And you know, I would definitely say it took me a long time to decide what I want to do because I did not know these options. I also only knew the typical options. But but I knew that I could do anything. I knew that whatever it was that I chose to do, I would be fine. I would be able to study it. So basically, when my father showed me this Monash brochure and he told me to just pick something because I was taking too long to tell him an answer. He gave me like a deadline to give him an answer, and I did not have an answer by the deadline because I felt like I was picking the rest of my life when I picked my degree.
Yes.
I did not know.
I
See, at
agree.
that point, no one tells you that, yeah, you can be an accountant, but in the end, you don't have to work as an accountant. No one tells you things like that. You don't really learn those kinds of things when we are in school. We just feel like, oh, if we learn accounting, we'll be an accountant. You know, if we learn
Mm,
science, we'll be a scientist. But it's not like that. It changes, life changes, things happen. But at that point, I did not know. I felt like I was choosing the rest of my life. So when he told me to pick something, at the last minute, I told him I will do environmental science. And he was not happy with it. He was like, what is this? This is not what I wanted you to choose. So because of that, we made a deal. And the deal was that I had to do the double degree. So I had to do the biotechnology as well as environmental science. So
mhm.
eventually, after I started getting good grades and after I knew what I wanted to do and I knew the direction my degree can take me towards, then I told my parents that I'm dropping the biotech degree and I'm only going to do environmental science. So he did not understand it, but like I said, he also knew there was no change in my mind after I had made up my mind. So he just let me be. And eventually I decided to do my PhD and whatever. And now I'm here in Sweden working as a postdoctoral researcher. So that
That's
is
so
the
good to hear. Yes. Yeah, this is so inspiring, and thank you
thank you so
for
much.
sharing us your, yeah, before starting your tertiary education, thank you for sharing what really happened and how it take you to be the environmental scientist now. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you for that.
no problem.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, let me check out if there is any question for our followers. Hi guys, if you have any question to shoot to Darshana, please drop it here. Um,
Let's see. Thank you so much, everyone. I can see your messages and I can see my sister and my friend Ashwin, as well as my boyfriend, all online.
Okay, yeah. While waiting for their questions, I have one more sub-question. So when you are
Yeah.
doing this double degree, biotechnology and environmental scientist, I mean science, how did you manage your time? Are they both, I mean, they are from both from same concept, if I'm not mistaken, but from a, they have like a branch out, is it? Bio, no.
No,
Okay, I'm sorry.
they are not the same at
Okay.
all. They are not the same. They are definitely different. So basically, when I had 4 years, and in that 4 years, I only have two electives. So they are definitely very, very extremely different degrees. How I manage my time, I'm going to say how I manage my time, but I want people to know again, not to follow what I did, but to do what is right for them. So I knew how
Mm,
I needed to study. I knew how I need to study for exams, but also to, to study for the lectures, blah, 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 but also study for my exams. So the way I did it is I always study smart. I don't just study hard. So I did not sit for like 10 hours looking at my lecture slide and trying to learn it because I knew that I would not learn. So what I did was actually I barely went for my lectures. In my third year,
mm.
I did not even go for one single lecture except for the
Wow.
labs that I need to go for. So because that's the thing, when I go for the lecture and it's 1 hour, I'm not paying attention. I can barely pay attention. Like I cannot just listen to someone talking for too long. And I knew that about myself. So for me, it felt like if I were to just show up there for 1 hour, it was taking away time from my assignments. And I had like too many assignments because I had assignments from 2 degrees. And in
Mhm.
Monash, a science degree is you get assignments, you get 2 to 3 assignments every week. So it's not easy.
Wow.
So
Mm,
if but I also like to have fun. I don't like to just study, 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 study. It's just, I'm not going to survive. It's not going to be sustainable for me. So I knew that
mm,
something is going to give. I knew that going to the lectures, I was always so distracted. I was always talking to my friends. I was always,
mm,
I couldn't pay attention. And so I knew if I showed up there for 1 hour, I'm just not going to study anything. So what I did instead was I took that time to do my assignments. So basically, what I'm trying to say is just that I found what worked for me, and I tried to study smart instead of just studying hard. You have to know what you need, and that was what I did. So it's not saying that the lectures are not helping and people should skip it. Some people learn better when they see it on in front of them with someone reading it out to them or explaining things to them. But for me, I learned in a different way. So I just learned, I just found out what was best for me and I just did that. So that was how I managed to manage my time. I made sure I still had fun, but I made sure I still got whatever grades that I wanted, and I wanted good grades.
Agree, truly agree. It's totally depends to how people prepare themselves for exams and everything. But yours is very interesting. Okay, yeah, thank you for sharing. So let me check if there is any more questions. Okay. Are you currently doing any environmental science project? Yeah.
Okay. I am currently working as an postdoctoral researcher in Sweden, and I am working on a research project. So I'm working on 2 research projects now. I can get into the details, but then that would take another freaking long time. But basically, I'm also looking at how in Sweden here, one of their top industries is forestry. So they have about 70% of their land is actually forest, but it's actually managed forests. So they plant the forest in order to harvest it 80 to 100 years later. They harvest less than how much they plant. So that's why their global carbon budgets is good, because that means that they emit less carbon than what they use. You understand?
Okay.
Yeah. But so basically they have a lot of like forestry companies here. So my work is looking at the different types of management in this forest on stream ecosystems. I have that project, and this project is in collaboration with the University of British Columbia in Canada, as well as University of Oulu in Finland. So it's a huge collaborative project looking at boreal forest landscapes. So the forest we have here is called the boreal forest. Okay, we don't have. I don't think we have boreal forest in. Yeah, we don't have boreal forest in Malaysia. We don't have. But anyway, so that is one project. The other project that I'm working on is looking at how. So in Sweden here, not so much in the tropics, but in Sweden, the groundwater discharge. So most of their river systems or their streams, the water doesn't come from just snow or rainfall, but it comes from their groundwater. So I'm looking at the impact of groundwater discharge into the streams on ecosystem function. So those are the 2 projects that I'm currently working on here in Sweden.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yes, it's definitely different from what people are used to. I would say.
Totally. Yeah, totally different scope. Yeah, from what we are seeing in Malaysia, it's totally a wider and different scope. Yes.
No, I wouldn't
Very
say
great.
that. I mean, we have a lot of studies in Malaysia as well. So, but generally, there is most of the studies have been done in temperate regions, which is colder climates, European countries, North America, but tropical countries are also slowly coming up. So my PhD was in tropical environment. So there are studies and there are very interesting projects happening as well. So I think, because the thing is, people tend to, I know a lot of people working with monkeys and basically wildlife, elephants and tigers, and they are deemed as the that is the typical way that a conservationist or environmental scientist, they are working with these animals like Jane Goodall or Diane Fossey. You know about this wildlife part. There's also this whole other aspect of people working in the forest itself and understanding the ecosystem. Or there are people working with atmospheric science. There are people studying how the different gas exchanges is happening. I mean, ozone layers. There's just so many things. So there are lots of studies being done everywhere, and even in Malaysia, but definitely less than developed countries like Sweden and all. But it's happening. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, dear. So we move to another question.
Okay.
Do you see yourself to continue as a researcher in the future, or any plans for teaching from COVID?
I do not think I will be teaching. I mean, I don't mind it if I have to. The thing is, I like to create awareness. I like to, when I was teaching, it's not like I didn't like it, but I want to be outdoors. I don't want to just be inside. And if you are a
Mm,
teacher in Malaysia, or like rather a lecturer, which is what I would be if I go into teaching, I would most likely have to also still publish papers. So I still have to do research. So it's not like once I become a lecturer, I'm no longer a researcher. But ideally, I would just like to do research and do scientific expeditions for the rest of my life. But that's not how it works. Eventually, I would have to go into teaching, or if not, then I would go out and work in the industry and become maybe a consultant. You know, basically, my study is looking at aquatic environment, so freshwater, so river. So I can look at water pollution. I can look at, how, I don't know. I mean, so many things. There's so many things that I could do if I also come out of research.
mm,
Yeah.
okay. So we have a few questions here. Are you would like to take a look and then filter it? There are many.
Okay, so there's one girl that asked me, how did you apply to go to Sweden? So basically, when you do a PhD, you get where
Mm,
you become a specialist of your topic. Okay, so when I applied to Sweden, I just saw. So when I apply for a job, I just apply for jobs that I find suitable to my expertise. And basically, when I apply for it, everyone else in the world who has also the same expertise will be applying for the same job. So
mm,
I applied for it just because it was there. So it's not, it would be different if I had like a, I don't know, like an engineering degree. It's not so niched
mm,
unless they go more, like they study further, right? It's not so niched. So it's different for me when I apply for a job. Basically, I apply for,
mm,
people are looking for an aquatic ecologist. They publish I don't know, the job announcement, and then I apply for it. Same with everyone else in the world. So that was how I applied for my
mm,
job in Sweden. So yeah. So then what else is there? Um, Kovin said, I also don't go for lectures, but marks not that good because you didn't
mm.
find the way that you need to study. You need to know what is right for you, not just not go for the lectures. Environmental science actually based on, okay, I think I answered that earlier in the story.
Yes. Yes, you can move
Um,
to the next one.
Okay, do you see? Okay, yeah, I think how's the experience being an environmental scientist? The experience being an environmental scientist, like I love it. That is why I chose to be an environmental scientist. That's why I chose to do my PhD. Because if you want to
Mm,
continuously go and do research, you have to do a PhD basically. So that is why I did it. I love being an environmental scientist. That is why I went through my freaking 4 years of mental torture doing my freaking PhD. But
ooh.
I mean, the experience is different for a lot of people. I have some friends from the same university as me, from the same lab, who don't go out at all. They just go
Mm,
out into the forest one time, collect their samples, and they can work on that same sample for the next 4 years. Whereas for me, I liked going outdoors, so I created my project. I mean, I tuned my project so that I will be able to also go outdoors and also do science and basically, yeah. I mean, there's so many ways to do it, like I said. So yeah, I love being an environmental scientist. But the one thing that I love the most is that even if you meet, I don't know about other fields, but in the environmental field, so I've gone to lots of conferences in like France and Indonesia and so many different places, and they're all, you get like all the different kinds of scientists, world-renowned scientists, people that I look up to coming into this conference. And what I notice is all of them wants to learn.
mm.
If you are a PhD student and you are presenting your project, if your project is interesting to them, they are not going to look at it as, oh, that is just a PhD student, I'm not going to go for that. They are never like that. They will show up, they will be so interested to learn about what you're doing. And once you're done talking, they will even reach out to you to ask more questions because they love learning. And I find that,
Oh.
yeah, I find that to be the best part because you know that you never know enough. You are always learning, you're always growing. And even someone who is new in the topic will still have something new that you can learn. So that is what I love
Mm.
about being an environmental scientist. Just the whole community, the way you are taught to think. You're taught to think critically. You're taught that you never know, even if you're an expert, you never know enough. You can always know more. And I have like professors, even people that I'm working with who are like 70, 60, 70, 80 years old. And their mind is still as active as ever. They are always learning. They are always interested. They always have questions. They're always curious. That is what I love
Mm.
most about an environmental scientist. Yeah, okay. So what are your plans once you complete the project in Sweden? No plans yet. I like to take it as it goes. But I don't know. I'll have to apply for another job and then see where that
Oh,
takes me. Yeah. Yeah, okay, actually being a
yeah.
scientist is a difficult thing or it's based on us? I don't know. How do I answer this? Because it's really being a scientist. There are different kinds of people. There are some people who constantly want to strive to know more, to understand,
Mm.
let's say, environmental scientists, to understand the environment. So they're always curious and it doesn't become more difficult, but there's always something to answer. And then there are people who just like to do whatever that is needed just to be able to publish papers. So they just don't
Mm.
really care about the quality of their work or what kind of impact it has, but they just want to publish papers because they need to do that. So all these experiences will be different based on the kind of person you are or the kind of scientist you are. So I wouldn't say that it's easy or it's difficult, but I
Mm.
would say that it's a job where you have to constantly learn. So it's never easy. Yeah, I would say that it's never just easy because you're doing research work that other people have not done before. Everything that you do is new. There is no baseline for what you need to achieve or how you need to do it. You need to come up with it yourself. You need to always think.
Mm.
And every time you feel like, oh, okay, I have this covered and I know this. Okay, like just say you have field work. Okay, I already got my permit. I have all of this. And then there'll be something else that happens that you cannot even predict. And you have to be creative in coming up with a solution for it. You know what I mean? So there's so many stages to it. But yeah, basically it is not the easiest thing. Okay, so do
Yes,
we
that's
take
a
more
good
questions?
sharing. Yes, true.
How do you keep up with the cold weather? Okay, I knew that there was this thing which I knew earlier, but I never really trusted it. There is no bad weather, there is only bad clothes. So when I'm here in
Oh.
Sweden, and the lowest temperatures I have felt was when it went down to negative 19. But when I had the right clothes on, you feel like
Oh.
it's just 1 degree or 2 degrees. You don't really feel the difference. So when you're in the field for a long time, yeah, sure, there are times where your toes are just numb and it's so freaking cold.
Wow.
And
Ooh.
your hands also, because you have to remove your gloves in order to do some of the work. And so you freeze and you freeze and I mean there are times, but basically as long as you have good clothes, it's never too cold.
Mm.
So do we answer more questions?
Okay.
So many questions here.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, so we pause this for a while and then go back to our main session and then we continue this, our
Okay, I'll
followers'
just answer
question.
one question first before that.
Yes,
Deepan is
sure.
asking, are you coming home anytime soon? I hope so. That's my answer.
We are looking forward to welcome you back here, Darshana.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to coming back as well.
Yeah, we are looking forward, to be honest. Okay. So, yeah, we back to Malaysia. There are a few issues facing by Malaysia in terms of environmental this thing. As we know, Malaysia is the second biggest palm oil producer. So, in relation to oil palm plantation, many standards and regulation we need to adhere to. So, how does this deforesting then reforesting works? First, they deforest the land and then they reforest with the palm oil tree. So, how it works? Is it in good or bad? How is it for the nation?
Okay, so since my PhD project was in oil palm plantations, I'm definitely have a lot of answers to this. I can definitely say a lot. But the first thing that I would like
Yeah.
to do is correct your question, because replanting
Yeah.
with trees does not mean that it's reforestation. What did you say just now?
From deforesting to reforesting.
Deforest? Yeah, it's not
De
reforesting. Yeah, it's not
okay.
reforesting. Yeah, I did not know reforesting is a word. But anyways, it's not
Okay.
reforesting. Our
Okay.
tropical forests in a plot
Mm-hmm.
of land can have hundreds and hundreds of species. An oil palm plantation has one dominant species. It is not,
Oh.
it's not a forest just because it is green in color.
Mm.
You understand? In a tropical
Yeah.
forest, there's hundreds of different species, and all of these hundreds of species have different roles. They are different
Mm.
habitats for maybe different types of bird species, different types of monkeys, different types of squirrels. They use different trees.
Mm.
On top of that, there are some trees that produces, I don't know, maybe like fruits that different kinds of animals will eat. So in a forest with these hundreds of species, it provides a home as well as food for a wide range of species. In an oil palm
Mm.
plantation, there is only one species. It may look like it's green, but it does not provide the same kind of complexity as a natural
Okay.
forest. Okay?
Mm.
So I would not say that it is reforesting the land if you just plant it with oil palm plantations. And what was your question?
How is actually how is it actually working in terms of serving the ecosystem?
Okay, so basically I answered your question in some way already. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
takes away so many things. Like for example, orangutans, I would say. You hear a lot about
Mm.
orangutans in oil palm plantations, right? And how they are being treated.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
so these
Yeah.
orangutans, they need primary forest in order to live.
True.
They,
Mm.
they cannot even live in secondary forest. So basically, in Malaysia, even when you, okay, so before that, let me come to this, and I'll say this. When you go into a forest patch, when you're hiking and you see trees and there are many different species, that doesn't mean that they are the primary forest as well. The primary forest is
Oh.
mostly undisturbed forest. So the ones that I know, I think there are very little of those. There are not too many of that, because most of our forest has been disturbed in some way. There may be selective logging. So when I go into a forest, and most of the hikes that I've done, I'm not going through primary forest, and I know that. I'm going through disturbed forest. There are plants, there are trees, but there
Ah.
are tall species. So it's a
Mm.
low quality forest, even though it's green in color. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
then when you go into an oil palm plantation, it is on the opposite end of the spectrum. Not only do they have less diversity, but now they only have one main species. And most of the time in
Mm.
a plantation, they also pour herbicides, pesticides. They want to kill everything in the land so that they can reach closer to the trees to get the fruit. So all of that kills
Mm.
whatever environments that you have underneath. And all these chemical inputs will also go into our groundwater, and then it flows into our river when it rains. So there's
Mm.
so much of damage that comes when you convert a natural forest into an oil palm plantation. Now, having worked in a plantation, I also know that it is needed. There are so many
Mm.
communities that rely on this land. There are so many communities. I mean, there are so many communities that relies on oil palm plantation. In an oil palm plantation, for the same plot of land, you get like 6,000 workers. So 6,000
Ah.
jobs. Whereas in a natural
Mm.
forest, you don't get those jobs. But so it's like always a balance in my head. So it's always an issue, because you have to think about the humans, but you also have to think about the environment. You also have to think about the damage it's causing, because there's one group that is making money here, or getting the benefits, which is the humans, but there are hundreds and thousands of species that are losing because of the benefits that we
Mm.
have. So it's always a
Mm.
balance. Basically, yeah, I mean, I guess that's the answer to your question on
True.
what happens.
True. 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 But you have answered the questions. Yes. True. True. From what you have said, from your point, it's true actually. So my question again, it's a sub question. Do you think Taman Negara is a primary forest or it's a
Yes.
secondary?
No, Taman Negara is
It,
yeah. Taman Negara is it's actually the oldest rainforest in
yeah,
Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that one is
yes,
they have
yes,
not been disturbed. They have been set aside as the like a nature reserve. Not just nature
yes.
reserve, but it's there's something. There's another term that they gave it. Permanent forest reserve. I think I don't know what it is, but it's definitely how our tigers or whatever species and last time that is the kind of forest that they used to roam in. So you know what you can
Mm,
do to learn? You should all
mm,
definitely take a visit to Taman Negara, see what the forest looks like there, and then come back
um,
to your normal heights in Malaysia or Peninsular Malaysia or in KL or wherever you are and compare the difference.
mm,
Then you can
yes.
understand a little bit about what I'm trying to say.
Thank you for this tip. We will try. Yes, thank you for
Yeah.
this. Yes, thank you, dear. Okay, so just now you mentioned about this usage of pesticide and herbicide. Actually, there are many NGOs and government are urging us not to use this poisonous pesticide anymore. Back to the common organic this thing. So, how do you see this technology serving or getting back the earth lost to the technology, like technology helping technology? How do you see this? Latest
Well,
technologies assisted. Yeah.
I don't
Mm.
know how technology contributes. I don't know how technology contributes to organic farming because mostly when it comes to organic farming, they are just not putting any kind of chemicals into the soil. I guess I don't know whether that's technology or whether like a management
Mm.
strategy. Okay.
Okay.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, technology definitely plays some role in conservation. So, for example,
Mm-hmm.
there are some species that would definitely have been extinct if it's not because of how we are able to do IVF for some animals, or like we can even. I mean, some animals would have totally gone extinct if it's not because of us trying to make them reproduce. That's using technology. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the question. That's the
Yeah.
answer, I guess. I don't really know. I
That's
don't
okay.
think
We move on then.
I think the damage that humans are causing is going to outweigh any kind of technology that is going to reverse it. The way that
Mm.
we are converting everything, the way that the how fast it is happening, like how rapidly it's happening, we are not going to ever be able. We can maybe help in some ways, like maybe these animals that are going extinct, or maybe doing liming in order to reduce some of the acidification in the soil. You can do all these little things, but in the end, the environment and the ecosystem is a huge thing. You are only helping with one small part of it. This whole thing is still changing and very rapidly. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, dear. Yeah.
No
Actually,
problem.
we are running out of time. The Insta live will stay for 1 hour only maximum, and I think we got
And
about 7 to 8 minutes more. Yeah. Sadly, it's going so fast. I didn't realize the time at all. Yes. Your answers are like so firing towards the
okay.
towards the what we are causing to the environments. I cannot describe just in one word. We are actually hurting them a lot. But good news is during this COVID-19, the earth is actually healing. That's the one positive note.
I mean,
So
I wouldn't say that it is healing. Everything is just stopped. So, like,
stop. Okay.
factories are not running. So, there is no
Mm,
pollutants that are going out into the air. And so, you get like cleaner
mm,
air for a short while. It is not
mm.
recovering. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It's not getting better.
Mm,
It's just not, the damage is not happening. And so, you don't see it in
mm,
the air. But once it starts again,
mm.
it's not like we went back a few steps and now, oh, it's beautiful again. You know what I mean? So that's
Okay.
why I don't really
Mm-hmm.
agree when they say, oh, the environment is recovering. It's not. I don't think so, at least.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Thanks, dear. So, what is the one issue every country facing in common?
there is, I mean, there is no just one issue. Every country is facing same kinds of stuff. Marine pollution, plastic pollution, air pollution, water pollution, I mean, deforestation, wildlife extinction. There's all these countries are facing all these issues. I cannot just pick. I mean, there's no just one issue that everyone is facing. And the thing is, if a factory is releasing this poisonous gas into the air in Malaysia, it travels. It travels to Singapore. It travels to wherever the wind takes them. It can even travel far away to other continents, not just in Asia. So it's a global issue. I wouldn't say there's just one that every country has. Yep. Okay, I think it's lagging.
Yes, but your video is buffering. Oh my God. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
okay now.
I could. Okay.
Yes, it's fine. Alamak. Thank you, dear. And one more question.
Yeah.
What environmental issue you are seeing as a clarion call? Alamak. Is it clear? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. So what environmental issue you are seeing as a clarion call, but people draw less attention for that? Can you hear me? Do you want me to repeat the question?
No, I got the question. So there are lots of issues. There are two that I can pick up on that I feel a lot of people are not aware of. So a lot of people know deforestation. Basically, the main thing that's causing global warming and everything is the amount of carbon that we have in our air. Okay. And the number one contributor to this increased carbon, actually animal agriculture, mainly beef. So when they have cows or a dairy farm, so that is the milk that you eat, the Cadbury dairy milk, all that is coming from products that comes from this dairy farm. So the biggest contributor to carbon is these kinds of dairy farm. So when you eat these kinds of things, although you may not eat beef, you are still indirectly contributing because you are buying the products that comes out from this kind of industries. Okay, that's the number one way to reduce your own carbon input. The number two is, I would definitely say, I feel it is overpopulation. Okay, we may be able to sustain the number of humans that we have in our earth with whatever we have, but that it comes at the expense of the environment, because you will always have to clear more forests in order to have more produce, have more agricultural field, have maybe more oil palm plantation, soybean plantation, olive plantation, maize plantations, all to feed this population. So a lot of people are not aware of these kinds of bigger issues that are contributing a lot to global warming and climate change and most of the environmental issues.
Thank you, dear. Thank you for this. I think we're almost end to the session now. We're almost running out the time. Okay, so, last question.
Wait. Before that, before we run out of time, I just want to say, so I will have another, because I feel bad that I didn't answer these people's questions. So what I'm going to do is, I will put in my story this question box. So all the people who didn't have their questions answered here can just ask me in that story, and then I will try to answer you. Okay? Yes. Okay.
Yes, that's a good approach. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, dear. So last one question. I think, okay, last one. Okay, you know about our education system in Malaysia. If you're given a chance to do something or to amend something in this education system in Malaysia, what would you do? There is something lacking, a bigger part is lacking, yes.
Yeah, no, I definitely want there to be some kind of environmental awareness in our education system. Currently, we have almost like close to none. I want people to understand how the ecosystem works, like how I just explained now, saying that when there is changes to the land. It doesn't just change. I mean, number one, green does not mean that it's always good. Just because it's a tree does not mean that it's always good. Number two, the different types of changes that comes. When you put chemicals, what happens? It goes into the land, it flows into the water. And this water, it doesn't just happen in a local environment, that means where this chemical is applied. But when it goes into the water, it also travels to wherever the water goes, which eventually goes into the ocean. So basically, I want there to be some kind of understanding on how ecosystem processes work and why one thing can change everything and why that is important. But when it comes to just our education system, having done my PhD and meeting so many people from around the world, which are who I work with, who I do present to, and all of that, I will definitely say I don't think our education system is 100% exam based. I really feel like we should have assignments. We should teach people how to use a laptop, how to write reports, how to write an essay, a good one, not just one to answer the question, but how to do critical thinking, how to read a book and understand the meaning behind the book, not just understanding, oh, what the book is saying, because that's not how our education system now is working. You just remember what is happening. I don't think that should be the way. I think there should be presentations people could do, should be having public speaking. All that should be incorporated in our education system. So I don't think it should just be 100% exam based. These are all skills that you carry forward in your life. And most of us as Malaysians, we only learn it when we go into our university. And I don't think that's right, yeah. Okay. I think it's buffering. Oops, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Yes, okay. I can't now. I hear you. I couldn't hear you. I can't hear anything. Can you hear me? I can't hear anything. I don't know. And I can't hear. I can't hear. Okay, I guess maybe we should end the session here now because I can't hear you. Oh, you can't see me.
Okay.
Okay,
Hello.
now I can hear you. But then I heard that anyways, there's only 15 seconds remaining. So
Is
maybe
it
we
okay?
should,
Now okay?
yeah, but there's like 10 seconds remaining. So